Hey everybody, it's Mick from Climate Salad. We love bringing amazing stories about positive things that are happening around the world of climate. And one came across my desk fairly recently, which I thought was very, very interesting. And today, to tell us all about it is Harry. Harry, you're with EnviroDNA. Welcome to the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Mick. Thanks for having me, and yeah, keen to chat a bit about some of the work we've been doing.
Yeah, tell us all about it. Like, I'm really interested in what the project and updated. Give us the basics and let's go from there.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name's Harry Coleman. I'm a project manager at EnviroDNA, and kind of have a particular focus on linking a lot of our environmental DNA tools with the Indigenous science and working with kind of traditional owner groups around Australia to kind of yeah combine that Indigenous science with these molecular tools. So can explain a little bit about environmental DNA. It's kind of like a, pretty new novel tool. But basically, we're all animals that live in the world, and us included, are constantly shedding fragments of our DNA into the environment. So this tool allows us to kind of capture those traces of DNA, run them through some fancy lab tests, and then work out, align that DNA back to a species, kind of work out what's living where.
Yeah, really interesting. I was always proud of learning that DNA stood for deoxyribonucleic acid, mainly to impress others. But yeah, really interesting concept. Obviously, around the biodiversity data, there are so many different levels you can look at that. How much can you tell us about how you capture that DNA? Yeah, how do you collect all that data?
For sure. So a lot of it kind of has been in the aquatic space, just because, DNA freely moves around in the water, and it's kind of been a really good testing ground for a lot of these tools. We're now kind of seeing it expand, I guess, into the terrestrial space, with some of that being even in some air sampling too, which has been really cool. But basically, yeah, what we do is a good photo there on the website of Josh taking some samples, but collecting some water. We push that water through a filter. It's almost like a kind of fancy coffee filter. That filter holds all the DNA, and then put the rest of the water ends up back in the environment. So really cool, sensitive, non-invasive tool to work out, yeah, what species are living in that area. So we then, yeah, I guess use that filter to extract all the DNA out of it and work out, yeah, what's where.
And the purpose of getting the DNA, is it about understanding like how the differences between species and the ecosystem of biodiversity? Like how do you then go and use that data?
For sure. So a lot of our, so pretty much all the data we're working in the presence absence space. So we can tell if something is present in our sample or if it's not. So we're kind of, yeah, basically just looking for that presence absence data. It's great for then kind of being able to map biodiversity over large scales, because it's pretty easy, quick, and kind of cost-effective method for understanding this presence absence. And yeah, going to be really important kind of long term for understanding what biodiversity looks like now and the state that it's in, to kind of then track changes over time, whether they be negative because of potential impacts, or also positive to then be able to kind of monitor the changes to restoration effort, make sure that we are having a positive impact on the projects when we're setting out to try and do that.
And who are you working with? Are you working with governments or big corporates, like mine sites using this before they, as a part of their approval process, or during operation, or cleanup, restoration?
Yeah, so we probably work with mainly a mix of yeah, government and different kind of natural resource managers, also consultancies and things like that. We certainly are starting to work more in the kind of the mining space as well, which has been really interesting to then kind of, yeah, exactly like you mentioned, kind of monitor those impacts and ensure, yeah, things are running as smooth as possible again, I guess. And if some of those kind of mines and things are shutting down, kind of monitoring the restoration efforts that are happening after that.
And is your platform, do you go out and do blanket studies of like all of Australia or all of the world, or do you look at really specific sites?
Yeah, so we do definitely have a global footprint. Most of it is probably happening in Australia, just because, that's where we're based. So we're based on Wurundjeri country in Naarm, Melbourne. So a lot of our projects have probably happened around Victoria. Now, yeah, working a lot across Australia, and then yeah, globally as well. With probably yeah, going back to kind of the things we work in, probably yeah, a mix of working on routine monitoring to gather baseline data or understand how biodiversity is tracking. Also doing a lot of citizen science work as well. So there's some cool projects that I can send some links through. But we had the Great Australian Wildlife Search, which was a massive kind of citizen science project across the Murray-Darling Basin to kind of get as much sampling and as much information as possible we can on that system. Also done the similar thing, the Great Australian Platypus Search. So basically,
Saw that.
yeah, yeah. So partnered with eDNA and some other groups on that to kind of understand, where are platypus across Australia. So,
Because they're notoriously tricky, right? They're kind of private. They live sort of underground in these little burrows. Yeah, tell me about that project. That looked really
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, definitely hard to pick up on some platypus. They're also just very smart. And kind of can work out some of our other sampling methods. So I guess in the past, a lot of the sampling involves kind of yeah, netting the platypus. So we'll put out these large kind of fike nets. They're like a funnel with two kind of wings that go across a stream to kind of yeah capture them overnight, and then kind of sample, I guess, and count numbers that way. So it's pretty labor intensive. You're kind of out there overnight, doing these, yeah, pretty full on surveys. But eDNA has been a really great way to kind of I guess, make that survey effort a lot less to be able to cover a larger area. But yeah, even with some of those nets, like we've got footage of platypus where, it might be sites we've sampled multiple times, but they come towards the net. They kind of know it's there and then they turn around and swim away. So
Yeah,
the figuring out that stuff can be pretty trap shy. So because
yeah,
we're just looking for that DNA,
yeah.
yeah, we're not impacting, I guess, or they're not seeing us, or we're not influencing their day-to-day movements.
Excellent. I was really struck recently about the massive difference in mindset between traditional owners and the being equal with land rather than being the exceptionalism of being like that humans are better than all other nature. So can you tell us a bit about the traditional owner program? Like that's the deep science and data of DNA and traditional owners. How did that all fit in together?
Yeah, for sure. So about two or so years ago, we started a traditional owner training program. One of our other colleagues and moved on recently, unfortunately. But Sarah Hale played a massive role in kind of starting all this up. So it's been a really exciting program to be a part of, and it kind of came off the back of seeing a lot of interest from traditional owner groups in using eDNA for a lot of those kind of things we've just spoken about, it being cost effective, surveying a large area, and non-invasive as well, which is particularly important when we're thinking about culturally significant species and some of our rare and threatened species as well. So we started a program that aimed to teach every aspect of eDNA. So from the sample design, going out and actually doing the sampling, then how to interpret the data when it comes back, and then actually, put that into a report, and kind of then make some key management decisions off the back of that data. So some of the involvement in the past with traditional owner groups in eDNA might have been, through researchers or other kind of groups that might have been, hey, come along for the sampling, and
Yeah,
they're out there for the day, spend that time on country, which is great, but then not kind of see the results or not kind of understand how to interpret it because, it's a different kind of platform when we're looking at DNA concentrations and things as well. So teaching every aspect so those traditional owner groups can do their own surveys on country, research the things that they want to research, but then also kind of have a backing to it to offer it as a fee for service for industry as well. So with it being kind of a new and novel tool, a lot of people want to, there's a lot of pros for it. So people want to get out there and get it done. So for a lot of these, clients that we spoke about, there's great opportunity for them to pay for the traditional owner groups to do that sampling. and then kind of be the ultimate decision makers on country as well with that data.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. That's glad that's going ahead. And can you tell me a bit about the company? Like, how did this start? Was this out of research? A couple of founders? Like, what was the origin story?
Yeah, so it started, you're testing me now exactly what year, but I think about 2016. It's come definitely out of from a research kind of background. So Dr. Andrew Weeks in particular is one of the founders and played a massive role in starting up the company. But yeah, coming from that research background has been really great because it's kind of always put us, I guess, on the forefront of a lot of this. Application of eDNA as well. So we continue to do a lot of research as well, whether that's through some of the projects we're working on or also kind of accessing different streams of funding to make sure we continue those kind of R&D aspects of eDNA because it is constantly evolving, and we want to make sure kind of we're on the front end of that. But yeah, about
Mm,
2016, it all kind of started, and yeah, just kind of I guess yeah, seen it expand along the way. I think
yeah.
we've got roughly 20, just over 20 employees at the moment, a mix
Oh
of kind
wow.
of project management and service delivery, kind of lab teams as well, data science. So a great group of
Yeah.
people to kind of, yeah, have a strong interest in the research and application of the tool.
And the obviously a big focus starting in Australia. Has there been any international interest?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely starting to get a lot interest, I guess, with the traditional owner aspect as well. A lot of what we're doing here can be applied to similar groups overseas, but for sure, working globally. Yeah, great thing about eDNA is a lot of the concepts you can take and use in a lot of different systems and environments. It can be flexible that way. So yeah, definitely globally as well.
Well, the traditional owner thing, I know when we have international speakers and we do acknowledgement of country or if, for events we welcome a country, yeah, it's something I know New Zealand does a big job of that, and I guess there's parts of it. I think it's interesting the internet. I think it's growing, but it's interesting to see the international interest and respect for the traditional owners' knowledge and experience around sustainability. So that's it's great to see that getting more and more attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when we think about Australia, like we've got 65,000 plus years of culture and of science as well on the
Yep.
systems that we're working in and an interested in preserving. So it's been, yeah, a really awesome experience to combine the molecular tools with that 65,000 plus years of Indigenous science as well. And
Yeah.
ultimately, that is what, in my opinion, it is going to make the best science and give us the best outputs by kind of, yeah, combining those two and making sure that there's a really strong cultural lens on all the eDNA projects we're doing as part of the traditional owner program. But I mean, just in general, of all the projects we do, making sure that we have a really strong focus on culture engraved in everything we do.
It's really exciting. And what's coming up next? Anything and anything coming up soon you can share it with us?
No, a few things. Always got things happening. But yeah, I guess one of the biggest things, like for us, I think at the moment we've trained around 19 groups as part of this training program, which is really cool. We've had a really strong focus on probably Victoria, just because that's where we're based at the moment. And yeah, in particular in the Budgebim cultural landscape, which you probably read a bit about in the article.
Mm.
World Heritage listed in 2019 solely for its cultural significance, which is the only example of that in Australia. But got a aquaculture system for farming kuyang and the short fin eel and other fish for yeah 6,500 years plus. So really incredible system that we've worked a lot in. Which is yeah really lucky that's down on Gunditjmara country in kind of southwest Victoria. So kind of been yeah assisting Gunditjmering to do a lot of this sampling and them kind of leading all this eDNA on country with our kind of help, a little bit of help along the way and kind of co-designing everything we do. So kind of yeah a lot of focus in Victoria and kind of building things with a lot of these the key groups that we have strong relationships with and really keen to see it kind of now expand across the country as well. So that's probably the next
Yeah.
big thing for us is kind of using a bit of a template of what we've done in Victoria with all our partners and expanding that across Australia. We've trained a few groups up in Northern Territory. We're about to head up to Cape York as well, which is really cool. So yeah, just continuing the expansion of it really.
Fantastic. Harry, thanks so much for sharing today, and good luck with the continued expansion, and hope it continues to grow.
No worries. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Yeah, you